Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into Journey with Christian D. Evans podcast. Guys, we have someone so extremely just I'm so excited to share her information with you and her wisdom and what she's done. She's been in the financial field for so long, and now she's taken her skills to really train and educate men and women that are in the financial field to really just kind of get them to their A game. And it's just she's just so liberal with her time, just investing into men and women to really help them kind of see their faults and obviously really optimize their strengths. And I am just so pumped up to bring her knowledge, her wisdom, and her education and share this information with you. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Eneida Canev. How you doing
Oh,
today?
thank you. Hey, Christian, I'm awesome. Thank you so much for that introduction. I feel so honored to have this conversation with you today.
Well, we are so pumped up to just kind of, actually have you on and just, share a little bit about you and who you are. But if you don't mind, I shared a little bit. Just tell us a little bit about who you are.
Definitely. I've been in the insurance and financial planning industry for about 18 years. I started when I was 10 years old, in case you're trying to do the math. And yeah, I've been in the sales field for a very long time, and I've noticed so many gaps between that first 3 to 5 year period of a sales rep's life. The quitting stage where they don't gain the traction, they don't make the things happen that they thought they could make happen in the beginning of their career, and they quit and unfortunately go pursue other things where they could have been stars in their sales role. And so I decided to go full go in helping develop and train people in that stage of their sales career to bust through and get to the next level.
That's awesome. And I think that's so needed right now because people right now, there's just so many different, ways to go out there and make that money. So what have you seen right now that is kind of like the big hurdle that most people kind of struggle with in that field?
Two things I'd say. One is belief level, mental toughness, that whole mindset game. And you said in the intro as well, you don't really see your own blind spots. That's why you need somebody to point those out. It's
Mhm.
amazing. I can hear just the way people talk. I can hear where their limiting beliefs are, and they don't even realize they have them. So that's definitely number one. The second is skill set. There is a skill to sales and to effectively selling and to profitably selling. And, a lot of times people rely on personality and they rely on just their natural tendencies, where that's great maybe to get you so far. But if you want to pop to the next level, you need to know things like overcoming objections, how to build rapport. You need to understand how the referral psychology works so that you can always have places to go. So mindset and skill set, to combine that together, is what I'm seeing. There's a huge discrepancy. And people do have training in their companies and they're people that they can go to, but you never a prophet in your own land. And so sometimes you listen, sometimes you think you can do it better, and that ends up, hurting you long term. So hearing it from a different voice can sometimes solidify the training that the companies have.
Oh, I really like that because, just even those that you may think you have like a mentor or someone in the company, sometimes, like you
Mm-hmm.
said, just having that extra third party kind of being able to say, hey, you know what, maybe you should do or do not do this.
Right.
So what have you realized like with the individuals that you've worked with so far, what kind of results have you been able to kind of develop for those individuals?
My favorite thing is that aha moment when that happens. You know what I mean? Where they come to me and first they give me all these big grandiose goals. I want to hit this income in this much time frame, and I want to do this and I want to do that. And I never squash the goal. But then in the back of my mind, okay, I start calculating what are your ratios? How well is your skill set? How coachable are you right now to your system? I start going through all that in my mind. And so we start working through their plan. And it always happens within the second, third, fourth session, in that early stage where they go, I need to get better at this. It's priceless. The whole level of competence. You go from unconsciously incompetent to consciously incompetent, and then you can do something about it. And that's magical. If I can get somebody to that moment right there, the rest is piece of cake because they're working on it. So that aha moment is the biggest thing I see all the time. And it doesn't take very long to get there. It could really change your life.
That's interesting that you mentioned that because definitely in today's online world, entrepreneurs they're taking off at 18 years of age and they're like multimillionaires, and then there's some that are like 40 years old. And you're like, man,
Yeah.
I'm still working a freaking job, and I don't
Yeah.
even know where to start, right? And so I think it's so applicable to what you just said because it's like mindset. They're at a different mindset. They're maybe
Mhm.
they're being able to have people skills or whatever, and they have the
Right.
different skill set as well. So how do you kind of really target like, okay, this is being able to kind of share and say, hey, tell them what they need to hear, not what they want to hear always. Is
All the
that is
time.
that
Yeah.
difficult?
Not for me, it's not, no. And I think that's what makes me good at what I do. I have no problem hurting your feelings in a loving way, right? So, but the way I know what to do or where to come, I'm telling you, it's all in your language. You know, where people will make an excuse instead of take action, or they'll tell me why they can't do something. I hear limiting beliefs in the words they're using, like, I wish, I don't know, I'll try. It's unbelievable how loud you're screaming your belief level by the words you're using. It's not even something that you have to dig through. And so a conversation or two about goals and dreams and ambitions is all it takes for you to really pick apart where somebody's like mental thermostat is set at. And it's easy to start targeting from there. You know, you start pointing that out. At first, people will fight you. Like, it's not an easy thing. You know, Christian, let me tell you why you're not making more money, right?
Right,
And
right,
they
yeah.
don't want to hear that. It's like, no, but I'm not. No, but what I meant is, you know, they try to fight me, and that's okay. I expect it. And then I just work through it again. And when I hear that limiting belief, I stop. I'm like, did you hear what you just said? And that's sometimes all you need foundationally to get started with changing your belief level. So that's really what I listen for, is the limiting words that they use, because by the time you speak it out of your mouth, you've thought it in your head 100 times.
Mhm.
So imagine if you've thought in your head 100 times why you can't do something, of course you're never going to take action. So skill set isn't enough. You really have to address where it's coming from.
You know, and I think this is where it's like everybody gets so tired of that, mindset, blah
Oh
blah
yeah,
blah, read a personal book and blah and all that stuff, like personal development. But at the end of the day, I mean, that is the basis. The reason why you're not
100%.
where you want to be is because your mind
Yeah.
is still limiting you to where you want to go, right?
The reason people are tired of it is because they don't know how to work on it.
Mhm.
It's fluff. It's like you just, you know, you took a nice warm bath, but then you got dirty again. You all you're doing is reading stuff. It feels good for the moment. You really don't know how to internalize it because you don't have somebody working you on keeping you accountable to what you're saying, keeping you accountable to your action, the discipline. You don't know how to develop it on your own. That's why you get tired of it, because you feel like it's not doing anything for you.
Mhm.
When you start internalizing this work and you see the shift happening, then you're a believer. You're all in.
So what kind of like daily routine or consistently do you do to kind of help your mindset and being able to obviously train and develop these coaches and these other sales reps? How do you keep sharpening the saw, if you will?
100%. So one thing I am committed to not being average. Okay, anything that even comes close to like the average world really affects me. I'm just so ugh, do not call me. In fact, somebody asked me how tall I was once, and I was 5'7", and she responded by saying, "Oh, that's super average." I googled the average height for the woman in the U.S., which is 5'4". I sent it to her, and I'm like, nothing about me is average. Okay, so
Okay.
the reason I say this is what I do on the daily is remind myself of that. You're not average. So whenever somebody would take their time to call back, I remind myself, call back fast, because the average person takes their time.
Mm.
Anytime I would, you know, do something in like a follow-up role, if a client is angry and I need to call them back, the average person would try to avoid. I'm going to take action. I just remind myself on the regular, you're not average. You're not average. When I'm tired and I don't feel like it, I remind myself, you're not average. So do
Mhm.
what the average person is not willing to do. I put that in my mind on the daily. And it's amazing how it really trickles into your whole life. You know, I'm training for a half marathon right now, and I have a very good friend who's pushed me to do this. And do you think I want to run all the time? Do you think I feel like it? But I'm like, no, the average person is going to stop today, but I'm not average. So it doesn't only come to your career, it's your life, you know?
Yeah.
Just telling yourself over and over, I'm not average. I'm not average. Do what the average person won't do. That's my biggest thing that keeps me pumped up and makes me take action all the time.
Wow, I really love what you just said earlier as well, when you said that when you don't feel like it, you do it anyways. So
Mm-hmm.
where did you get to at that point? Like, what was it, just earlier on, or have you always been like that, or was there like a point where it's like, you know what,
No,
I've got to realize that this is it?
I think this is why I'm a big believer in mindset. No, not even close. I was probably the most average kid you've ever seen. I mean, I did okay, but I never like stood out. You know, I was just like good, everything's happy. But I started self-developing. You know, you get into the sales world, you start reading books, you start attending seminars, you start listening to people who are performing better than you. And little by little by little, that started seeping in. And I remember there was a time in my life, I was probably in my career about 4 or 5 years already, and I was kind of in that struggle mode. You know, I was making it, but I wasn't excelling. Average. I was just average. And I just remember clicking and said, I got to get intentional about the work I'm doing. And, you know, and so when I would read a book, I would actually do the exercises in the book. When it said to, networking and meeting people, I actually would listen to people's advice who were performing better than I was and gave it a shot. If they said, try this and this, I didn't just go, man, that won't work, which is something I used to do. I would actually start trying to implement those things. And so I think the taking action was an intentional decision. And it's gradual. I mean, 20 years almost of programming my brain to think the way I think right now. And I
Yeah.
know the next 20 years are going to be unbelievable. It's a process that I was committed to, and it clicked for me because I constantly was in that self-development mode. So I would say if anybody's starting and trying to figure that out, just start. You don't have, nobody's asking you to change your whole life in a weekend, but just be committed or be open to learning a new nugget from everything that you absorb, and then as you do that, it'll start to fill up. Those drips do eventually fill up, and they do change the way you think. And you'll notice that with your circle, you'll notice that with people in your office. You do start separating from the pack, and you're eventually going to start to love that because you're different and you're making it happen.
See, that's one of the things that I was really astounded when I heard Bill Gates. He reads even
Yeah,
how busy he is. I mean, he's got
yeah.
HIV, he's running a company, he's got all these things, and yet he still finishes 52 new books a year. And I'm over
Isn't
here
that
like,
crazy?
how does he prioritize that? And some people can't even prioritize
It's an
reading a book a
excuse.
month, right?
It's an excuse. We have Audible today. You can listen to books on the go. Like,
Exactly.
no, it's an excuse. And that excuse mentality is, if somebody is proud that they don't read, like I know people who are like, oh, I just don't have time. I'm so busy. And I'm like, imagine how much more you could get done if you actually
Yeah.
self-developed, but whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, exactly. And that's the whole point. And so now you were also talking about like, you need someone that is a third party, someone that can speak life into you before you believe in yourself, that
Yep.
sees things that obviously, you may not be seeing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what is what is your definition, first of all, of mentorship and coaching?
I think the literal, like if you look at stories, movies that are inspirational, the pivoting point for everybody is that one person who believed in you. And sometimes you're lucky to have that person in your life naturally. I have great family members, friends, but nobody's like in my corner going, go Eneida, you could do this, stop talking this. And nobody's doing that. And so for me, mentorship is that one person who's got your back, because if you don't succeed, they don't succeed. There's got to be a vested interest for both of you, right? And if you succeed, it makes them look better. That means they want you to succeed. Like if you make that click instead of looking at it like, oh, she just wants to coach me because that's how she gets paid. Yeah, no crap. Like, yes, because if I coach you and I get paid and I don't get results, what are you going to say about me? Right.
Yeah.
But if I coach you and you get results, what's that going to do for your career? I have a vested interest in your success. So that's what a mentor is, not just somebody who's like your cheerleader, but somebody who really needs to see you win in order for them to rise as well. I think that's a very special connection that you need to make, because then they're really pushing for you. They're really doing everything in their power to help you see your potential. And it matters to them as much as it does to you.
And that's the thing that I realize as well. Like I've got individuals that I actually, mentor, but it was earlier on, and it was just more this concept of, oh, let me just mentor you because you're a good friend of mine. But then I realized that they didn't take it as serious, or they weren't
Not at all.
prioritizing me as I was prioritizing them. Have you
Right.
seen that as well? If they don't have
Of
a financial
course.
interest on their end.
And I think financially is probably the most tangible and easiest way to
Yeah.
express interest. Like you worked hard for your money. If you're going to pay for coaching, then chances are you're going to take action. It's not even always the case. I've had people pay for sessions and don't show to them. So, whatever. And that's a mental issue there that you have to deal with. But I think that's the easiest or the most tangible way to say, look, I'm going to sacrifice something in order to get something in return, or not even sacrifice. Let's call it invest, right? I'm going to invest in order to get a bigger return. Because otherwise, if you're just like, yeah, let's do this, let's just talk, I want you to be my mentor, you
Yeah.
hang up the phone, there's no tie. Like you did not care that that person just invested an hour in you because you didn't have to invest anything for that, So yeah, I think it's necessary for you to make a little sacrifice in order for you to take that seriously, for sure.
Well, I totally agree with you on that. And I think, that's one of the things I kind of want to, foot stomp, if you will, for with our audience is like, you have billionaires that invest millions of dollars into mentors and coaches to have the right people, breathing life into them and obviously billionaires that are
Yeah.
investing into that, and
It's
that's a
probably a reason
million.
they're billionaires.
Exactly, exactly. And so I really appreciate you sharing that with me. So let me ask you this then. Did you have a mentor or coach that kind of, that kind of helped you along, or was it just kind of like you said, your family? I'm just curious.
No, it definitely wasn't my family. No. Yes, I think when my career started really shifting is when I decided to take my coaching and mentoring seriously. And I had the way our business was structured when I was initially starting to see success. My mentor, my coach was the person who had a financial interest in my success. So the more money my office made, the more he would make. And I used to look at that negatively when I saw like, man, he's coaching me. And if I do so and so, it'll increase his net worth by this much. That means he really wants me to succeed. And that click for me, honestly, is what made me completely coachable to him. And then when I started going into my own industries and doing my own thing, I always sought people who were ahead of me. And
Yeah.
there's people who want to give you advice all over the place. Coaches
Yeah.
are a dime a dozen, Christian. Like, honestly, people label themselves coach. But when you find somebody who's done what you want, or who has the mentality that you want, or has the attitude that you want, then if they have something you want, then you listen and you go all out. That's the only way you're going to change, because they've already gotten to a place you want to get to. And so I've always sought out people, and I always have a handful of people in my corner. And the reason I separate that, because there's a bunch of people who want to be that person to me,
Yeah.
right? But there's a handful that I listen to because they have exactly what I'm looking for. And there's no way you can get through life without that. No way.
Mhm. So
Not
then,
successfully.
yeah, yeah. And so with like your mentor, like how do you identify and target like the correct mentor? Like do you find one that like, okay, this person's got it financially right, this person's got it spiritually right, this person got relationally right, or do you find it like holistically, or how do you kind of find like, okay, I want this mentor in my life and I'm going to invest and he's going to invest or she's going to invest. How's
I
your
think
strategy?
I don't think there's a one for all of it, right? So
Mhm.
like, because there's somebody who maybe they haven't had the best, I don't know, like they're not in the best physical shape, but they somehow figured out how to make a lot of money in this area. I'm not going to listen to them for, physical fitness advice. I will
Yeah.
listen to them for business advice, let's say. And I think about that too with parents. Like a lot of times kids listen to their parents' advice. Coming from the financial services, I always ask them, do your parents have the financial life you want? Almost of the answer was no. Like
Yep.
then you listen to your parents on how to be a good person, how to be a loving person, how to be kind, but you don't listen to them on financial services. And that's really how I think coaching should be. Nobody's perfect. I love when people throw out posts about, before you hire a coach, like you basically run background checks, credit checks, do all this kind of stuff. Like, really, you're not even that guy yet, but what are you looking to be coached in? And if in that one area they've got an expertise, then that's the one area you're getting coached in. So that's what I look for. What's my one specific result I'm looking for? And I don't think any person is an end all be all. I think
Yeah.
eventually, you're going to have 3 or 4 different coaches in your life that help you in all different areas, because you can't, there's never going to be one person who can do everything.
Mhm. And that's the cool thing right now with like obviously online and you being able to obviously, being coached by someone in India that maybe has that
Yeah.
result that you're looking
Yeah.
for. And I think at the end of the day, it's like you just have to get clarity on what is my result? What do I want out of life? And
That's
then
right.
find the person that has your life and obviously, get that individual in your life. And so I really appreciate you sharing
Right.
that with me. I love that perspective. So kind of switching a little subject. So what would you say, like we talk about significance of life, and success versus significance. What would you say is your definition of significance?
The only person you can't lie to, cheat out on is yourself. So to me, to be significant, at the end of the day, I'm looking at the mirror and I'm proud of myself. I'm just happy with what I've done. And I know maybe I'm not where I want to be, but I'm looking and I'm like, you made progress today. And that's to me what significance is. It doesn't, because nobody's definition is really the true definition.
Mhm.
So whatever you did during that 24-hour period, if it made you feel that, hey, I did what I was supposed to do, I leveled up, or I got to where I needed to go today, I made progress or my big goal, that's what significance is. Because at the end of our life, unless you're Alexander the Great, people will stop talking about you eventually, right?
Yeah.
So the significant factor to me is like, did you make your day count? And look, I'm saying all these things, and sometimes people think, oh, they feel like losers because I don't do that, or I fall short all the time. I had somebody respond to something I posted, like saying, I'm sure a lot of people struggle with this. I'm like, yeah, we all do. Don't think that I look at the mirror every day and think I'm significant every day. Absolutely not. But that's what I'm striving for. I want her to be proud. When I'm brushing my teeth at night, be like, good job, girl. You did it. That's what significance means. If you can really feel that more often than not, you're on your way.
Definitely, definitely. And I think that you're right on with something, because it's like sometimes we put these big, wealthy, successful individuals up on a totem pole and
Right.
say, oh, they probably never have a limiting belief, right? They never
Right.
have a negative belief. They never
Right.
have self-doubt, right? Because they've
Yeah.
accomplished so much. But in reality, I mean, just like yourself, you've gained so much success and helped numerous women in that field. But yet, am I correct? You still have that
Daily.
limiting belief.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You got
So
to go to the next level.
what do you do to you know create the boundaries, or to being able to just spend a short period of time on that limiting belief and move on? Like, how do you what's your action step on that?
So I'm always protecting my bubble. Okay. Always. I feel that like I have like this force field around me at every given time. And I'm not perfect at this, but I make sure I make choices that are only going to allow good things to enter into my mind. Like I have friends, God bless them, who are always talking about the next TV show and everything. And I literally have no clue what's on. I don't even really know what's on the radio. Like I don't know what the most popular songs are because I'm always on podcasts and audiobooks and then I know that's not for everybody. I know not everybody's going to want to do that, right? And that's fine. But I think the concept of being very intentional about what you're putting in your brain, that also includes who you hang out with, the kind of humor and the kind of entertainment and everything that you allow going into your mind. You have a choice on that. And sometimes, you want certain people in your life because you feel like they have to be in your life, or you feel this genuine attraction to this person. You want them in your life so bad. But if you really analyze, like, is it the best for you and where you are at today? If you can answer yes, keep them in your life. If you have to answer no, I'm not a push away people kind of person, but I seek out others who are. So my voids are filled with the
Yeah.
most positive possible so that
Yeah.
there's no real room for the rest.
Man, wow. And I love what you just said there as well, because I see this with couples a lot. Definitely when I talk to and help them build online business, it's like, if they're sitting there and at the dinner table and they're talking about what's new on Netflix and their series, their relationship is in problem, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
and you're talking business as well, and no wonder why. If you know what's going on with the new series, then that's the problem, guys, right?
Like, there could be a reason. Yes, I
Right.
know. And this isn't to downgrade that or people who
Yeah.
do that. This is really just to become aware. Like, how come I know all of the
Yes.
people on this show, but I don't know
Yes.
the top 10 people on the Fortune 500 list? You know what I mean? Like, why do I not know that? It's a choice.
Yes, yes, yes. And I think, man, if we were able to just focus on that, I appreciate you sharing that with me, because I think that
Everything.
is so, so, so powerful. I mean, I also, like you said, I know John Maxwell, incredible man, but yet I know he also likes movies, and he watches movies and he
A
spends his
hundred,
time, and
yes.
that's okay. That's not,
Yes.
yes, yes. But when
Nobody's
your
saying
life
don't get
results,
entertained. Exactly. No, that's not, but you have a choice and you have a
yes,
choice of how much and you have a choice of where you're getting it from. And it matters. Like if you do too much of one area, it really will affect you long term. Yeah, it's don't stop being fun.
yeah, yeah.
For sure.
And what
Yeah.
I find very interesting, and I just want to carry this little point across, because what I find very interesting is, like, when people, people like you were talking about, putting things in their head, they don't
Mhm.
really realize what they're putting there in their head until all of a
No.
sudden they have a kid and, like, oh wait, we can't watch that movie, right? We can't do
Wow,
this, we
that's
can't eat
great.
this. And then all of a sudden they're more intentional with what they're putting in their head, because they
Mhm.
got a kid, right? They got
Mhm.
responsibility.
That's true.
And I think, again, this is kind of where a mentor comes in, because it
Yeah.
says, maybe you shouldn't be watching that. Maybe because that's not good for your relationship. Maybe you
Mhm.
shouldn't be, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I never saw that. And I think
Never
that's
saw it.
where individuals like yourself come in so handy, because it's like,
Yeah.
it's not just financially rewarding. It runs
Yeah.
all over everything else, doesn't it?
Wow, that's such a great analogy, Christian. I'm stealing that.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
That's
Yeah,
good.
but
That's
you're the one
true.
that brought that up, and I just wanted to foot stomp that, because it's so, so, so true, and I appreciate you
Mhm.
sharing that with me. So let's just kind of switch a little topics here. So, and I love that significant idea. So what would you say is, like, how to truly develop a legacy and allow it to live beyond you. Because how many times have we seen men, women that get to the top of quote unquote success and the divorce 3 or 4 times? They don't know their
Sure.
kids, they don't know their wife,
Hmm.
they're prosecuted for felonies, right? We're seeing right now. And
Hmm.
um how do you really leave an established legacy? How do you end well?
I love this whole topic, and I know we could spend hours just on this because I think that's our purpose in life is to leave a legacy, do something with what you've been given here. I think the biggest thing is to not look at all of that. Like just focus on your game,
Mm,
because the fear of all the stuff that can happen, and I hear it, and this is the limiting beliefs. I've heard people say, this is why I don't want to have money because
yeah.
all money does is. And I'm like, how sad that you let something outside influence you. Now you're going to limit yourself in an area in your life. And so, yeah, is there bad news? Is there people who don't make it? Is there people who falter through? Yep. But are there a lot who do make it? Yep. You have a choice, right? So make the choice that you say, you know what, I'm going to be the person who has it all. I'm going to
Yeah.
be the person who has a great family life, who has a great physical life, who has a great, financial life, and work towards that. This is where the significance to me comes in. At the end of the day, it's me and her, right? That's all that matters. Whether somebody else succeeds or believes in me or thinks about me or not, that's irrelevant to my actual life. When I die, nobody's going to be like, so how did she do in this? Like, nobody's going to care, but you will. And so if you just focus on your game, forget the noise of the rest. Like, how great if you could write a script out for your life and have anything you wanted and make it as great in every area as you wanted. How great would you make it? And then just work towards that. Forget about the noise.
But how do you? Because it's like the noise is so loud. The world is so loud. Social
It's
media, there's
perspective, though.
yeah.
You tell me it's not loud to hear about the good things that are happening?
There you go.
It is, but
Hmm.
what are you letting in?
Ooh.
Okay. And I can perpetuate conversation. Like, so I'm not the most fun person when it comes to like tragedy on the news and everything, not because I don't have empathy and I see that there's really challenges, but okay, if I'm having a conversation with you at a barbecue, what good does the talking about this last tragedy that just happened, what good are we doing? Now, are we getting together to talk about how we're going to fundraise? Are we getting together to talk about how we're going to
Mm,
volunteer to help
mm.
the families? Yeah,
Wow, yeah.
I'm all in. But just to have a conversation about how bad things are going, I'm not your girl. I will always leave the conversation, change the subject. And because what's the point of that? I'm very selective. I'm being very serious about when I said that, Christian. I am very selective about what I let in. Are we going to make an impact? Let's talk about how we're going to make the impact. But if not, then I'm not letting that in my brain because I know I can create whatever I want to with my life and I get to choose that. You don't get to choose that for me. And if you come with me, I can show you have some great stuff in your life too. It's very
True.
intentional.
You are preaching it, and I appreciate you just sharing this information because this is just audience, listeners, rewind this and just listen to what she just said again because it is so powerful and so true. Because I see so many individuals, I talk to so many people. I'm in the church community. You don't have to have
Yeah.
my faith, but if you just grab your own faith. But my point is, though, is I see so many people that say this is what the church needs to do. This is what the church needs to do. Okay, but what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Right? And
Mm-hmm.
that is your point, correct? Like,
Yes.
what are we having intentional conversations to lead us to something better?
And I'm talking especially when it comes to just negative topics. Like, it's fine. We can talk about the last movie we saw for an hour and how much we loved it. That's not what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. Yeah, but like if the church needs to do this, because I'm in the church community too, right? So I hear this all the time. I think what you think is you have to do something massive for it to matter. You don't. That one meal you bring to the one person matters, right? So like if you're much better off serving one person or doing one tiny thing that you think is insignificant, then you are spending 30 minutes talking about how bad it is.
Mhm. So like
That's a
you
choice you have.
and so with the impact that you were saying, what kind of impact do you want to leave on this earth when you're gone? And what do you want people to say about Aneda?
This is very important to me. I don't even care if they say my name again after I die, but you know what matters to me is causing a ripple effect. So, when you
Mm,
throw a pebble into a pond and it just starts to ripple, I want to make an impact to one person. If that one person, because of something I do or say to them, turns into a massive movement and they get all the credit, they get all the accolades, it's all them, that's fine. But I had some kind of impact in influencing that. That's something very important to me. whether somebody remembers my name or not. The fact that I caused a ripple is huge. And that's why I want to have the mentality I have and have the influence I have, because I don't know who that one person would be. Maybe it's going to be more people. That would be unbelievable. But
Yeah.
if it's one person that can start a ripple, and maybe it's somebody I start a ripple with that starts a ripple with someone else, that's fine too. But I know that we are all connected in that way, and we can make a huge lasting impact and difference that can span generations. If we get out of our own way and look at the greater cause that we can, influence.
Mhm.
So I'm very, very intentional about that daily.
Where did you get that mindset? I love that.
20 years of self-development,
Yeah.
right? Like the
Yeah.
compound effect. I really believe it's like I'm fired up right now having this conversation. And in fact, any kind of feeling of tiredness I don't feel like is gone, because I'm like, I got big things to do. Thanks, Christian.
Well, this is what I love about this, because I can, audience, you're probably hearing the smile and the voice from her. She's obviously very on fire right now, and she know where she's going. And I highly recommend, of course, in the description below, you can actually reach out to her. We're going to put all of her information down there. But this is just some really great stuff, and I can just hear your excitement about it. And this is why I love to ask these kind of questions. And
Yeah.
so and that's why I was just curious, because so many people want to have their name on the board. So
Mm-hmm.
you got a humble mentality. You're very
Oh,
humble, because you don't want to have all that. You don't really care about. You just want to have that ripple effect. And I think
now, if my
that's
name's
pretty
on the
unique.
board, I'll take it. I'll
Yeah, yeah,
bow and I'm not saying don't, but it's not what I'm going. I have this saying that says, you can keep the flash if I can keep the cash. That's my saying, because what good does recognition do if you're broke? And that could be financially, mindset wise, physically, right? Like, am I being completely fulfilled and satisfied? If the answer to that is yes, then I know I'm making an impact. And I know my name's going to get spread just by a default, as long as I'm being 100% what I need to be.
and I appreciate you saying that, because I think in today's world, I don't know why, but it has such a negative connotation towards sales. And
Yeah.
in all reality, and I'd like to get your kind of perspective on the reason why, and really how to monetize your skill. Because I mean, people can do TED Talks and they get 1 million views, but how do you monetize? How do you able to really
Oh,
impact? And
you're so right. I had at this moment a couple days ago, I was literally laughing at her on the phone. This is somebody I'm close to, but she owns a business. She has a retail business, and we're started talking. I'm telling her what I do, and she giggles at me. She's like, "Oh, girl, I don't believe in sales. I don't like sales." And I'm like,
yeah,
you own a business. What do you mean you don't believe in sales? So sales doesn't just have a negative connotation with like public school teachers, like actual business owners don't even look at sales as a positive thing. And that's their
yeah,
literal bread and butter. So you have to fight through the noise by being different. I think the reason people have negative connotation with sales is because they had a negative experience with
yeah,
salespeople, or they've listened to the negative stuff that other people have experienced. And so if you stand out differently, you walk out of a transaction and somebody hands you a check or their info and you close the sale, there's nothing more satisfying than when they don't even feel like they've been closed, in a sense, right? Because
yeah,
this is a service-based thing. You're doing this to help each other out, both win-win. I think you have to get to that point. There's a massive amount of skill that it takes to get there. This is not something you learn overnight, but I promise you, 100% learnable. I don't care what your personality is, what your background is. If you have desire, it's the only thing I can't train. I can't train you to be motivated. If you have desire, I can train you to be a top sales person, because it's all just skill set, for sure.
yeah, yeah. And I think one of your leaders, he's very famous for saying, "Find the need and fill the need," right? And
Yes,
that's really what it comes
absolutely.
down to. Is
Absolutely.
just, I mean, they have that need. They have a
Yep,
flat tire. Here, I got a tire, right? It's
that's
not this.
right.
It's this transition of, and I think I appreciate you sharing this, because man, I literally just talked to someone as well the other day, and he's like, I just want to build a relationship, and that's fantastic. But at the end of the day, the way to really impact someone's life is to have them make a step toward action.
Yes,
And the way to
all
do that
the
is,
time.
yep, is investing into themselves monetarily.
If
And
you don't get paid as a salesperson, you helped no one. And this
Yes.
is a money block that people have. They have blocks about making money off other people. That's what they look at it as. Because if I sell you something, I'm going to get paid. Well, if I don't get paid, that means you didn't get the product. That means your life did not get enhanced. Our conversation isn't helping you. They're not going home and thinking about everything you
Yeah.
just said. They're only going to be enhanced if they actually have a product. If they use the product, if they implement it to its capacity, that's on them that they have to develop, but they now have a fighting chance because they have the product. If you don't believe that, you will struggle and you won't help a soul at all.
So how would you say, like, if someone is struggling with that, like has that negative experience with sales, in
Mm-hmm.
today's world, and this is what I love about like what's drastically changed with the sales world. And you've probably seen this as well. It's like, instead of this cold calling mentality, now it's just this, hey, whoever, raises their hand and they come to me, it's attraction marketing a little bit. So
Mm-hmm.
have you
Sure.
found that has made sales processes a little bit cleaner, if you will?
It can, but you still have to remember as a salesperson that you got to fill your pipeline. Fine, attraction marketing, build relationships, deliver value up front. And I agree with all of that. However, you're going to have to make sure you increase that front end to get more opportunities on the back end. Just because you think you're being relational with your two people,
Yeah.
you're not necessarily converting two people. Like maybe get 200 people in your DMs and in your social networks and all of that going. Then you every month will have people to convert. So I think that's fine if you want to have that mentality. And I don't think you have to be aggressive, hardcore closing to be successful at sales at all. But you've got to remember that you have to control the front end. And if you're not really focused on putting that massive pipeline in the front, you're going to struggle. And that's where skill set and mindset comes in, because if they don't have an abundance mindset, they're not going to work hard to put the front end in place. They're going to work just enough to stay frustrated. And then they wonder why it's not working. So
Mhm.
you have to have that abundance mindset to know, oh, I got to get a bunch of people in my pipeline. And that also obviously takes skill too. So it's the very front end focus. If you want to be attraction marketing based, you have to be very, very serious about filling that pipeline in a big way in the front.
Very intentional with that market,
Huge.
exactly.
Yeah.
So then would you say as well, and I think I've struggled with this personally, is that at the beginning you create some big momentum, right? All
Yep.
of a sudden you're filling that pipeline. Then all of a sudden you stop doing what's going to create the results and you just
All
focus on
right.
what you have right now. How do you get someone over that hurdle? I figured it out finally, but how do you?
Well, yeah, look at you. You're a stud. No, I'm laughing because that's just like we go on a diet to lose 5 pounds, and how do we reward ourselves? Oh, I'm going to eat cake now.
There
Like,
we go. That's
what? What? Like, what got you to that point? Obviously lifted you, so keep going. But there's blocks, and this is where people who don't like talking about mindset, to me, it's just comical. It's like eventually you will, because there's
yeah.
a reason you're stopping yourself. You are like halting your own progress by not continuing to do this, and it's because you haven't conditioned yourself to think bigger. Why do people like? I'm not going to say names, but why do big name coaches, sales reps, celebrities keep pushing when you know they're well and good?
Yeah.
Why?
Mhm.
It's not has nothing to do with the tangible stuff. It's that mindset is a lot more expanded than yours is. And so you have to increase your bucket. You have to increase your capacity, or else you're going to stop your own progress on a daily basis.
Well, that's what it comes down to every single time, developing and increasing that mindset. What are some
Yep.
books that you've read that really kind of helped you build that foundation? I mean, I know over 20 years you've read bajillion, right?
A lot
But
of books.
what are some of the books that kind of really were impactful for you?
My two favorite books are, well, I shouldn't say favorite, right? But the two books that everybody needs to read is Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. A lot of people have read Think and Grow Rich, and honestly, Think and Grow Rich is a book you study over your lifetime, really. But
Hmm.
Napoleon Hill, Outwitting the Devil, if you've not read it, you need to read it first and then listen to the audio. You're going to get chills and you're going to realize stuff in your life, and it's tangible as well as mental. So it's the most powerful book I could ever recommend. And then the second one is Skill with People by Les Giblin. It's a tiny book, Christian. You'll read it.
I
If you do it on audio, it's 30 minutes. I think it's $5 on Amazon. This book, because a lot of people recommend, how to win friends and influence people, and I've read that too, and it's powerful. But that's a manual. You go through Skill with People. So skill with people think that it's a natural thing, and it's not. Most people are terrible with people skills.
yeah.
Terrible. You don't make people feel special. You always have to be right. You think you're the know-it-all in the room, and these are things you're doing subconsciously. This book is like 14 or 15 points. You can read them one at every day, and you've changed your whole life and how you interact. So those two books I would recommend off the bat.
And definitely with sales, people skills, how important is people skills to really develop that skill set? Not everything else, like on the phone, but
Yeah.
like developing the skill set of just having a conversation with people.
It's I think intentional people skills is everything, because I
Mhm.
don't need to be friendly in sales. I'm sorry, I don't need to be friends in sales. I need to be friendly. There's a difference, right? So there's a people skill level where everybody likes you, and there's a people skill level where you get things done.
Mhm.
So intentional people skills are 100% everything in sales, because if people can feel that they trust you, they can build rapport with you, they know you've got their back, they're going to do business with you. If you're just buddy buddy, they'll like you, but they're never going to give you their money,
Yeah.
right? So intentional people skills is everything.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, so how do people get to have a conversation with you, Anita?
The three best areas, you can go to my website, which is hersalesresource.com. You can actually get a free ebook on public speaking skills, and you get my contact information there. Or you can find me on LinkedIn or Instagram. So LinkedIn, my name is Eneida Canev, and on Instagram, Her Sales Resource is my handle. So yeah, look me up. DMs are always open.
Awesome, awesome. And ladies and gentlemen, the resource, the description below, they're going to have all those links and attachments as well. You can get that access. I highly recommend just kind of reaching out to her, obviously plugging her brain and just kind of, even asking her to be a mentor. She's an incredible woman, and that she could really impact your life. So Anita, we really appreciate you being on, and the time and the knowledge that you share with our audience.
I had so much fun, and I hope it did make an impact to at least one person. So thank you, Christian, for the opportunity.
Thank you so much.